Well, it looks as though it's a very good morning from me, Paul Archer. I hope everybody's well. Welcome to my mortgage live stream. We're live on Facebook and on LinkedIn and all those good places. Anyway, let's get cracking with some content, shall we? Hope everybody's well. Enjoyed the weekend. What great weather it was this weekend, wasn't it? It really was delightful this weekend, I must admit. I was out in the garden doing all my reading, so I was thoroughly enjoying that. But this week, it's gone back springtime again. It's a bit cloudy, a bit colder. Why do we British always talk about the weather? It's funny that, isn't it? Anyway, let's talk about British things. Let's talk about financial statements to kick off with, shall we? Rishi Sunak's financial spring statements. Very British thing, the budget. Well, obviously they have them in other countries, of course they do, but we're up against it at the moment in this country because we got this humongous national debt that don't people really appreciate what size this thing is. I mean, it's over £2 trillion. I did some research into it earlier. Over £2 trillion is our national debt. It's just humongous. The thing, of course, about having a debt, I mean, we have a mortgage, for example. We've got credit cards and stuff like everybody has. But the thing is, you have to make payments on these things. Now, the mortgage, of course, is a very low rate of interest. We make payments each month. Now, the UK's national debt has to be paid for. You have to pay monthly or annually, whatever the cost is. And they reckon that we're paying something like, 2 or 3 billion pounds in interest. It's actually 11%. I got that from the ONS statistics. 11% of the money we make as a country from taxes and everything, we pay just over 10% of that towards our debt. So that's quite a big chunk, actually. And old Rishi Sunak's really up against it, trying to get that down. And I'll tell you what his secret weapon is in a second. I'm not going to go through the detail of it, really. But I'm just keen to know what, as a mortgage advisor, what you would want to know about it. How would it affect you, really? But first of all, there's three big things, isn't there? There's the national insurance, there's the fuel duty, and then there's the income tax change as well, which, okay, doesn't really affect mortgage advisors. The national insurance one's quite a nice one. They're basically making it the same as income tax. So the personal allowance you all have for income tax is going to be the same for national insurance. So in other words, you can earn this amount of money without paying national insurance or income tax. I think that's brilliant. I think that's a great way of operating. That's going to help a few people. Of course it will. It will help actually the owner directors who pay themselves salaries as well, because you'll probably find that they'll pay themselves a slightly higher salary to keep out of income tax and national insurance. I don't know if that's a good thing for mortgage advisors, but the salary is very low anyway for that. The fuel hike or the fuel duty down by 5p doesn't really affect mortgage advisors, unless of course you're doing a lot of journeying around. Let's go on live, shall we? Ta-da! Unless you're in the car going to see clients, that's going to help you, isn't it? But most mortgage advisors are moving over to the virtual model anyway, because it makes more sense on the footprint, on your carbon footprint. The basic tax going down to 19p. That's not until 2024 anyway, so it's a long way away. So there's not really much more happened. It's very political what he did, isn't he? He wants to obviously help people, because the biggest impact, of course, in 2022 is inflation. That's the big talking point. Inflation 6.2% at the moment, highest it's been for ages. It's predicted to go up, of course, with April when we have all the gas hikes, energy hikes. They're predicting it to be about 7 or 8% by the end of the year. I mean, RPI is over 8% anyway. So a little bit worrying. Obviously, interest rates are trickling upwards to try and contain that, as we know. But one good news came out of the spring statement. They reckon inflation is going to be back under control by 2024. Who's they? Well, it's all the Office of Budgetary people, the people that know these things have said that. The government has said it. How can they predict that? Well, it's just a prediction, isn't it? But that's pretty good news, that if inflation's back under control 2024, that will mean that the interest rates going up a little bit will contain it. It'll start to bring it down again. And hopefully interest rates will remain relatively low as well, because we need that, don't we, in this sector of ours. But that's the government's weapon, you see, to reduce the national debt. They're just going to inflationize it. If they can have reasonable inflation for the next few years, that's just going to bring down the value of a debt, and it will bring down the value of the national debt like anything else. Inflation erodes debt, and that's always been the case, isn't it? So enough of that. I'm not going to talk much more about Sunak and what he did, because it doesn't really affect mortgage advisors. But I've got two topics for you today. One does affect you, and the second one kind of affects you, but it's very much in the CMAP syllabus. Now, the first topic I want to talk about, or main topic really, for you, is the FCA's new consumer duty, which is doing the rounds, coming on in this year. Will change a lot of things, the FCA's consumer duty. Now, for those of you who remember the treating customers fairly and all those good things, this is just an evolution of that. But I want to go through with you some of the details of the new duty. I think it's a good thing, I really do. And you need to be aware of this because it affects the principles and things like that. So let me just head over to some visuals of this one to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on. So I'm going to hit the button here because I can, and it's going to take you to my visuals. The FCA's new consumer duty, they call it. Now, is it new? Well, not really. This, of course, evolved way back in the day. There's the Financial Conduct Authority. There's the logo that we know and love, of course. But you may remember this little baby called Treating Customers Fairly Towards Fair Outcomes for Consumers. This was first published in 2006. And not a lot of people know that. 2006, guys, was a long, long time ago. And of course, TCF, as it was fondly known, or Treating Customers Fairly, then moved over to become Fair Treatment for Consumers a couple of years ago as well. They kind of tweaked it, and now they're tweaking it again, and they've now created the FCA's new consumer duty, which say it's not new. The concept's not new. It's all about focusing on consumers and letting them appreciate where we're going and what it's all about at the end of the day. So if we take a look at some more of these visuals and just give you an idea what this is and how it differs really. Well, first of all, the aim, got my little picture there, the aim of the consumer duty is quite clear. And the FCA's got this on their website, which is quite smart. Raising the standard of consumer protection, which is rather lovely, isn't it? So we just zoom in on those to give you a better idea. The first thing calls consumers equipped to make effective decisions. They're always making sure that people have got information that they need to make proper decisions. Although, of course, we take the can for the advice we give. Of course we do. Consumers should be able to make effective decisions as well. Products and services must give fair value. It's always been a principle, isn't it? We must make sure that our products and services are created properly to give fair value to consumers. And you've got helpful customer service, which is something we should be doing as well. And then products and services that are fit for purpose. It's all about creating the right product in order to be fit for the purpose of giving it to consumers. So that's the new consumer duty, really, raising the standards. That's a lovely little idea on the website, and I think we make sense, doesn't it, really? But if you dig a bit deeper, the new consumer principles quite interesting. Now, I've got here the old principles. As you can see there, number 6, number 7 are now gone. So consumer interests and communications is now gone and been replaced by the new consumer principle, which looks like this. This again is from the FCA's website, the consumer principle. Remember, we're getting rid of 2 of the principles and we're creating the new consumer principle, which has got some detail in it. So let's just zoom in so you can see that. They've got this overarching cross-cutting rules. Very, very civil service bureaucracy going on here, isn't it? So firms must take all reasonable steps to avoid causing foreseeable harm, enable customers to pursue their financial objectives. These are the cross-cutting rules. We must act in good faith towards customers as well. And here's the big one, the 4 outcomes for key elements of the firm-consumer relationship. You often hear people talk about fair customer outcomes, a good customer outcome. You'll find that language being used more and more now as we move forward. So we need good outcomes on communications, on products and services, on customer service, and price and value. So there we have the new consumer principle, really, coming to you right now as we speak. Obviously, there you go. Just to give you the consumer duty there for you. So you'll hear more about that as a mortgage advisor. Your firm needs to adhere to this. It needs to sign up to it, obviously adhere to the principles. It's all about the new consumer duty. So if you hear it, that's exactly what it is. Nothing really new at the end of the day. It's about treating customers fairly as it was back in 2006. Fair treatment or outcomes for customers as well. It's all about outcomes and looking after your consumer. But if you're a professional anyway, you should be doing this, and I'm sure most of you probably are. So that ends that little section for you. Hope you found that useful. Great work. Hope everybody's well. Hope you're good. Hope you're enjoying the marketplace. Read a lovely article actually at the weekend in The Economist about millennials and the new first-time buyers. Now, millennials, you know, born from about 1980-ish to about sort of mid-90s, is the biggest generation here in the UK and in the US as well. I did some research this morning. It's about 16 million people who are millennials. And because it's the biggest generation, of course, it's going to affect the housing market. And many of these people are doing things later in life than normal. That's what is normal at the end of the day, isn't it? They're just doing things later. They're getting married later, having babies later. A lot of them have pets before babies now. It's just the way it is. Of course, they're buying property later than we would have done, because I'm a Gen X, late stage baby boomer. But the good news is that there's a lot of these people now starting to look to buy property. So the first time buyer market, which in my day used to be people in their sort of early 20s, first time buyers now are in their 30s. They've got good incomes, they've been renting for a while possibly, they're now getting settled. So I think that they will propel the mortgage market over the next few years. That's what they're saying in the States as well. They just need to build more houses over there. We need to build more houses here to allow these people to buy property. With the new affordability rules coming in as well this year, so people can afford more. I mean, the Nationwide are doing 5.5 times income. They're all doing it now. It's a really good place to be. So that's fingers crossed that the market's going to look really good moving forward on that basis. Last topic for you. Just want to kick in with a final topic on child benefit. But I'm going to go over to the whiteboard for this one because I can and I will. Now, why have I got child benefit as a topic here for you? Well, just really wanted to clear up one of the little known rules on child benefit that people get confused with. Now, we're talking here about welfare benefits. So let's put a little title up there for you, child benefit we're talking about here. So this is the benefit given to parents of children. You may well be a parent yourself. And child benefit has been available for many, many years. When we had our kids back in the mid-90s, I think Lewis was born in 95. We applied for child benefit. We've got a few pounds each week, and you and I have got some more. It's very, very useful when you lose a salary and you've got childcare to pay for, nappies to pay for. And if you need it, the motto, of course, is to use it. Because in those days, though, it wasn't means tested. It was given to anybody who needed it or had children could apply for child benefit. But that's all changed, and this is what's causing the confusion. They decided a few years ago now to means test it on income, not on eligibility, effectively. In fact, in 2013, they decided to change it. So it's been changed for 9 years now, but it's terribly complicated. It's probably too complicated for their own good, really. So what it boils down to then is if you are claiming child benefit and you're coming into your bank account each week, each month, whatever, then you have to repay it if your income is more than 50,000. So if one of the parents' income, just the one, is more than £50,000, then if it's above 50, you have to start repaying some of it. If you earn more than 60,000, let's put that up there for you, then you've got to repay it all back to the government. And that's the daft thing, because you get it, and then you tell them that you've got more income, then you have to repay it. And you repay it by paying higher taxes. There you go. By paying a higher tax. Is how you end up paying it. So it's a bit of an oddity, really, think about it, because you claim it, and then a year later, you then tell them you're earning 60 grand and you've got to repay it back. So what we suggest, of course, is that people don't actually claim it in the first place. But I've got a little tip for you on that one. The reason they do this, of course, is because you don't know what you're earning until the end of the tax year. Self-employed, for example, or employed people. You don't know until the end of the tax year what your total salary is for that year. So you've been claiming child benefit all year, and then suddenly at the end of the year, you're on more than 60, so you have to pay it back the following year. And it's causing a lot of people a lot of trouble. So what we recommend, or I recommend, and this is something as a mortgage advisor, you might think about doing, because you're going to be doing fact-finding. You're going to be fact-finding parents with children, for mortgages. And as you talk about their situation and their income, you might get into the subject of benefits. And if they've got children, are they claiming child benefit? Now, you're not going to be an expert in this and you're not going to give advice on this sort of thing. But what we suggest you do is you ask the question, are you claiming child benefit? Because it's always best to apply for it, but not actually receive it. So what you can do is you can apply for child benefit. Any one of the parents can apply. And then they tick a box saying, we don't want to receive it. So if you know your income, one of your incomes is going to be 60, not both, by the way, it's just one, then you don't want to receive it because you've got to pay it back, haven't you? But you should claim for it. Why should you claim for it? Well, because you get your national insurance credits. That's the big thing. Let's just put that up for you. If you claim it, you get your national insurance credit. Now, the NIC or national insurance is a jolly useful thing to have a full record of for state pension, you see, because the new state pension, of course, you need quite a few years of national insurance to get the full amount. The more you pay national insurance, the more you get. And the state pension is not to be sniffed at. It's quite a lot of money. And most people use it for their prime retirement income. So, I don't know, say, for example, the dad is going to give up work to raise the children, and the mum's carrying on working. She's earning more than 60, so they don't want to actually receive the child benefit, but the dad should claim it, and that way he gets his national insurance credited, even though he's not working. But there's quite a few other benefits that do the same thing. Maternity does it for you, the job seekers allowance, the employment support allowance, and the carers allowance as well. Carers is for people, young people who are looking after older people, really. They get their national insurance credit as well. So that's just a little tip for you. So, if you're talking to customers, if you say that sort of thing to them, they'll love you for it. They'll realize that you're an expert and you know what you're talking about. And then, of course, when you start talking about protection, you can then get into life assurance and income protection, all those good things. I mean, it's stupidly complex, really, the whole thing. No. But let's just pick up a couple of final details for you. Just going to head over to a slide for you, just to give you an idea of how this all works. I've got here a picture of our summary. We've got this summary from our revision guide, which I dug up for you. So just zoom in so we can see this a bit more. And as you can probably see, I've got child benefit there for you. You can see the details that I've got. Let's just get a little dot there. Child benefit. Pay weekly to the adult responsible for the child from birth to the maximum age. 0 to 16 years is the child's ages. Here is national insurance as well. This one relates to paying national insurance. You don't need to pay national insurance to get this one. I've got there as means tested. Just flick back so you can see the categories there for you. You just make those out. Let's just show, get a little highlight. There you go. So you've got 3 categories: NI dependent, means tested, or taxable. They're the 3 things that we look at a lot with these products. So as you can see here, get the dot back. You don't have to pay national insurance to get it. So it's not one of those benefits. It's not, well, it is means tested, which we just talked about, and it's not taxable. And it extends to under 20 if in your full-time educational training. So if you're in university or training, it will carry on paying to the child even if she or he reaches under 20. And there's what I mentioned to you, removed if one partner earning in excess of 50,000. This, by the way, is quite a nice little summary of all the benefits. Quite useful if you're learning a CMAT 1 or any other exam that needs it. But just to tidy that up for you, as we've put up over on the whiteboard there, it's above 50 you start to pay back some of it. Above 60 you have to pay back all. So if you're anywhere near above 60 grand, just claim it, but don't ask for the dosh. Because back in the mid-90s we were desperate for the money. I remember going down to Sainsbury's and so I've just given up work and went down to Sainsbury's. I had 50 quid to buy food for us all for the whole week. And boy, did I have to budget. I didn't get myself a bottle of wine, I don't think, that weekend either. It's tight. It's tight when you have kids. It really is. But anyway, that's a story for another day, isn't it? Hope that's been useful. Bye. Alrighty. Okay, so we're wrapping up now. Let's wrap up our live stream. We'll be back here again next week. What's happening down here in Tivoli Studios? Well, we're delivering a lot of training still. We've got new material going on to the boot camp in June because they're changing the syllabus in July. I'll tell you more about that next week as well. So we're going to be sort of devising some new material and things. We've got a CMAP 3 podcast happening on Saturday morning for the next 11 weeks, actually. We're recording it live. If you want to come onto that and listen to it live on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, then just get onto the database. Just go onto the website and sign your name in, your email address. We'll put you on the database and we keep you informed of that as well. So that's going on as well. But yeah, all busy, all good. Hope you enjoy your week. Have fun, and I'll see you next Monday.